Hi guys, today I want to discuss a very intriguing time period in ancient history. Our current civilization is believed to be 6,000 years old. The earliest cradles of civilization originated in ancient Mesopotamia, Egypt, and India, followed by ancient China. Have you ever wondered what existed prior to the 6,000-year-old mark? Homo sapiens became anatomically modern humans around 190,000 years ago. Arguably, we became behaviorally modern humans about 40,000 years ago. Behavioral modernity involves the development of language, art, and early forms of religion. This means ancient humans were as smart, capable, and creative as modern-day humans. They roamed the world for almost 34,000 years, but have no civilization to show for that period. Isn't that strange? The further back in time we search, the scarcer the archaeological evidence there is. I focused on a particular time frame, which is closest to us, between the end of Younger Dryas cooling event and the initial date of the oldest known civilization, which is approximately 12,000 to 6,000 years before present time. During this period, agriculture started, animals were domesticated, and humans settled in clusters and towns. This could be considered the pre-cradle of civilization. Our earliest written records are the Sumerian tablets dated 6,000 years old. I don't believe the Sumerian culture developed a written language overnight. The 6,000-year-old clay tablets present a sophisticated writing system, and such an achievement requires a lengthy body of work. In other words, the ancient Sumerian writing language would have a longer history than we currently believe. Perhaps we just haven't found older written records, or maybe we have mislabeled them. After all, absence of evidence is not evidence of absence. Archeologists found several large-scale man-made sites dated to be 12,000 years old. From 12 to 6,000 years before present time, we have about 6,000 years of unaccounted history, the same length of our recorded civilization. What happened during this non-recorded 6,000 years? We don't know much. Fortunately, clues exist that might help us better understand this time frame. The megalithic wonder of Gobekli Tepe in the Levant region of current-day Turkey consists of many 15-ton megalithic pillars dated to be 12,000 years old. Gobekli Tepe was used and expanded for 2,000 years until it got deliberately buried 10,000 years ago. Another example is the discovery in Mexico of an underground mine tunnel, which is over 200 miles long. In 2011, 12,000-year-old underground tunnels were discovered spanning from Scotland to Turkey, along with a series of tunnels that go all through Europe. These tunnels are maze-like, and the possible reasonings behind their construction remains a mystery. Based on the narrowness of certain tunnels, some think they could be ancient aqueducts to transfer water. Most scholars thought that people who lived 12 to 11,000 years ago were nomadic hunter-gatherers with no permanent shelters. Yet how and why would hunter-gatherers mobilize the massive resources to create these complex sites? The construction of the stone monuments and tunnels implies a level of social cooperation, design and engineering sophistication with the division of labor beyond the capacity of early Neolithic civilizations. Maybe we need to rethink these pre-pottery Neolithic people and their society. Maybe we underestimated them and they were significantly more advanced than previously given credit for. Gobekli Tepe was worked on, expanded, and maintained for 2,000 years. That's almost the gap between Julius Caesar's time to now, 2021. This is a long period of time and shows a probable continuation of a civilization. Is it possible that there existed civilizations more than 10,000 years ago? It's hard to tell because there are no known contemporaneous surviving documents. Plato's work from 360 BC, however, might provide us clues. Plato's Timaeus was written almost 2,400 years ago. In this book, he depicted a fascinating conversation between Solon and an Egyptian priest of very great age, where the priest told Solon about the ancient history of Greece and Egypt, because Hellenes lost their history through catastrophes while the Egyptian history got preserved. The priest claimed that a goddess founded Greece 9,000 years ago, 1,000 years before she founded Egypt. Since Solon visited Egypt around 600 BC, that means ancient Greece was created 11,600 years ago, right after the Younger Dryas cooling event, and ancient Egypt 10,600 years ago, way before what are taught now. He talked about the recurring destructions of mankind in the forms of fire and water. He also said there were many previous deluges until the greatest deluge of all overtook the cities, written records, and those who dwelled by the rivers or on the seashores. The most intriguing point the priest disclosed was the war between Atlantis and the countries within the Pillar of Hercules, which is today's Gibraltar Strait. I'm not going to discuss Atlantis today, but we'll focus on the other information that Plato gave out. Per this Egyptian priest, a war broke out between the Mediterranean states and Atlantis due to the Atlantean aggressive expansion and enslavement. The Hellenes won and liberated the Mediterranean people under the Atlantean control. Sometime later, terrible earthquakes and floods occurred, and in a day and night of horror, all Hellene warriors were lost in the earth. The island of Atlantis, in a similar manner, sunk into the sea and perished forever. This might read like a tall tale, but Plato stressed multiple times that the powerful state of Atlantis really existed, and the Atlantis War was a true historical event. Unfortunately, the prized historical records of Egypt were probably stored in the Library of Alexandria, which got razed 48 BC and experienced further destruction later. Therefore, it's very hard to validate the Egyptian priest's words as portrayed by Plato. If Plato was writing about a real historical event with accurate sociological background, which he says he was, then there existed sophisticated states in the Mediterranean area around 11,000 to 10,000 years ago. Some states were located close to the Mediterranean Sea, and some were outside the Gibraltar Strait. These states had their own armies, formed allies, and fought against a common enemy. The outside intruder conquered some states, seized their land, and enslaved their people. Then a strong country won the war, liberated people, and gave back their land. Don't you think that these ancient states function in a way very similar to the kingship in dynastic times? These do not sound like primitive societies, but rather like sophisticated cultured ones. If a society had fighting armies, it must have had organizational scales, including hierarchies, rankings, weaponry and food supplies, compensation systems, and more. Consequently, we can assume such societies were capable of building large-scale stone structures like Gobekli Tepe, which requires significant maneuvers of labor and sustained resources. We can try and fact-check other claims Plato made. One such claim is that there were many previous deluges instead of just one. This is probably true, since archaeologists already found multiple sunken cities or settlements in the Mediterranean region. Scientists think some ancient floods could have been tsunamis. Back then, many settlements existed right along the coastlines. The Mediterranean region is prone to earthquakes, tsunamis, landslides, and volcano eruptions throughout history because the faults between tectonic plates. Here is a map showing the sunken sites with their submersion times. There are various sites around the Mediterranean coastline, and likely many more to be discovered. I think these are evidence of multiple ancient floods. There is one particular site called Atlet Yam in Israel. This site is dated to be 8,900 to 8,300 years old, and it's said to have been sunken by a tsunami caused by the eruption of Mount Etna in Sicily. Mount Etna is located in the middle of the Mediterranean Sea. If its eruption caused a massive tsunami at the east end of the sea, it probably created similar problems for most Mediterranean coastal cities. At Tel Reish, another sunken site in Israel, a 7,000-year-old seawall was found. This wall is regarded as the oldest seawall known in the world. That means 7,000 years ago, ancient people already built stone walls to protect their settlements against a rising sea level. After the cooling event of Younger Dryas, the glaciers melted while sea level started to rise. The early Holocene sea level rise started around 12,700 years ago and ended at 7,000 years ago. During this time, there was a significant jump in sea level by about 60 meters. The rising sea level may have also increased volcanic activity, might even cause submarine landslides, which lead to more tsunamis. The rapid rise in sea level caused the loss of coastal fertile land, thus impacting human migration. This unfortunate event of losing farmland was stated in Critias, another one of Plato's books. We now know that 12 to 6,000 years ago, recurring natural disasters happened in long intervals in the Mediterranean region, which fits into Plato's descriptions. There have been, and will be again, many destructions of mankind, arising out of many causes. The greatest have been brought about by the agencies of fire and water, and other lesser ones by innumerable other causes. Whereas just when you and other nations are beginning to be provided with letters and other requisites of civilized life, after the usual interval, the stream from heaven, like a pestilence, comes pouring down and leaves only those of you who are destitute of letters and education. And so you have to begin all over again like children, and know nothing of what happened in ancient times. So, I propose 12,000 years ago there existed sophisticated cultures which left behind the grand megalithic sites such as Gobekli Tepe. These cultures operated like kingship from dynastic times and had their own written languages. However, being in an era with changing climates and rising sea levels, these ancient people experienced destruction and catastrophes which forced them to start over. These devastating events were like the loss of your computer hard drive with no backup, thus explaining the 6,000-year gap of missing written records. What do you think? If you have any insights, please leave me a comment. If you like my video, please give me a thumbs up and subscribe. I have a wide range of topics that I want to share with you. This is Curious Being. I'm Tina. Thanks for watching and see you next time.